And welcome back to the Philippine National Qualifiers of Female Esports League, League of Legends. We will be your casters for this best of 3 finals. My name is Uomi, and together with me is V, Ardent Esports, with a massive victory against the former champions Team Amplify for our game before this one. What are your thoughts about that one?
Yeah, it was a crazy match. Like 2 pentakills in one match. That's as exciting as it can get, I think. I'm not sure if the finals can even top that, but for sure both teams are definitely prepared and anxious to play their best.
Alright, we've seen a lot from Ardent Esports, especially on the last game, but for GGTY, they haven't played a single game today, and this will be their first game for day 2 because they are waiting. They just waited for the finals to start because they topped the winners bracket yesterday. What are the points to take for GGTY?
So I'm not sure if GGTY has warmed up because and on top of that, they have not known who they were going to match up against for this finals up until Ardent Esports won a couple of minutes ago. So for sure, I think GGTY gotta be a little bit heads up on against their newest opponents like Ardent Esports.
Alright, we are heading straight to the pick and ban phase. We are in the first banning phase of this first game. We see an immediate Ilawi ban for the side of GGTY, and I think that we've seen a lot of Ilawi bans against Ardent Esports, so I guess that's a respect ban for the top laner of Ardent.
So I think the previous game against Team Amplify, it was also banned against their top lane Vambi. I think Ilawi has a good potential to turn around ganks, and I think GGTY do not want any part of that.
Yeah, and of course, Ilawi, one of those top laners that can absolutely harass anyone the moment that W lands. So, and I'm not quite sure if it's W or E, but the one that steals your soul rather, and just deals a constant amount of damage. Really annoying to deal with. But that's going to be 2 AD carry bans coming in for GGTY. They really respect Cha, especially after that 2 Pentacles in the first game. And we are seeing a Caitlyn ban from Ardent Esports. Not quite sure. We've seen Cha play a great Caitlyn, and there are already 2 AD carry bans for the side of GGTY. So this is going to limit the pool for both AD carries here. They do have the next 2 picks, so I think this is the prime time to get the remaining meta AD carry, if there are remaining meta AD carries. But right now, Caitlyn, Kai'Sa, Sivir gone.
Yeah, and this Karma pick is actually really big for the bot lane. Really strong early game presence. So whoever is paired up with that Karma is will have really strong laning presence. So you can pick like Kalista, or you can pick practically anybody and still maintain control of the lane. Right now, Ardent Esports picked Shen, and I think we've seen Vambi very reliable on that tank top lane role. So I can see this Shen going there. And well, the previous game they've relied on Cha and some playmaking abilities by Ja and Weng to win the fight, and I think this Shen just absolutely puts them in that position to do it again.
And of course we do see a Nautilus pick for Shendi over here. She did play a fairly safe champion on the last game. That was the Janna, but right now she might be taking this Nautilus again, shifting to a play style that's very aggressive in the bottom lane. And I can't wait to see what they pair up with this Nautilus, because we do know that the kill pressure with the Nautilus is just really high in that bottom lane. So if they're gonna pair it up with the Jinx or maybe Lucian, just a lot of damage and kill potential in the bottom lane. But we are seeing a Trundle pick from GGTY. Again, the Trundle pick, a great counter pick to any kind of tank, especially with the Subjugate melting a lot of attributes going towards Trundle. It's like Death Realm, but a little bit better and no other realm. So Subjugate will be a massive in those team fights. But entering the second banning phase, what are your thoughts on the Tristana?
So the Tristana is actually it's a little bit behind the Saya. It's a little off meta. It's only a 1-star champion in TFT, so I don't think that's it's not that good. But considering that it is Cha playing this Tristana, I think it's really reliable. Like, you can consider it as a three-star Tristana doing so much damage. Imagine if she gets her 3 big items. She'll just entirely sweep the board and win the match for Ardent.
Yeah, of course, we've already seen what Chak can do as an AD carry, and of course, we can't discount the AD carry of GGTY as well. There's a reason and why they just waited for the finals to start.
Yeah.
They topped the winners bracket, and that just means that as of now, to be fair, on paper, the power rankings, they should be number 1, with Ardent being the underdogs in this best of 3 series. But a lot can happen in the best of 3, and we are still in the first game. That's going to be an Orianna lock-in for Ardent Esports, and Ari got banned, so Ja will be playing with a fairly late game scaling mid laner right now.
Yeah, a lot of respect to Ja. There's two big bans, Lux and Ari, probably up to like a poke champions that Ja probably specializes in. But Orianna is could be played as a roughly a support-ish, able to support the Cha going in. Cha could even be like a ball deliver carrier. But on GGTY side, they've picked Renekton, absolutely huge against the Shen. I'm not sure if the Shen can even match up to this Renekton early to mid game. The Shen will have to be really far ahead to put up a match against the Renekton, on top of not being able to leave the lane, in fear of the Renekton taking more plates.
Well, of course, Shen, we do know that he has the dodge capacity with the W, of course. But then again, you're facing Renekton with the new shield break.
Yeah.
If this Renekton spots a target in a team fight, even with Stand United won't actually stand a chance against a shield breaker like Renekton. But then again, Renekton will be sacrificing a lot of his sustainability in the fight if he goes with that empowered W. So looking at the whole composition of both teams right now, they do finish off their draft with a Jarvan. Wang did play a Jarvan last game, and we actually saw a lot of flag and drags that hit around 2 to 3 targets. And for GGTY, this is going to be Trundle Renekton combo for the top lane and jungle. I think that's going to be massive in trying to secure winning lane for this Renekton.
Yeah, the previous game Wang turned out very big. If the MVP was Cha that game, then I think a very close second would be Wang. Always there for team fights, always there to make the plays, and had a really good KD as well. But I want to compliment GGTY. They definitely watched the first game, and they see how Ardent Esports plays, and they have drafted accordingly to play against what Ardent Esports is used to defaulting to. So I think Ardent Esports right now, they're not as, I think they're on picks that are not as comfortable as the previous game, and I want to compliment GGTY for spotting that and acting accordingly.
Alright, but this is going to be the first Nico game of our day 2 over here. This is going to be Nico versus Orianna in the mid lane. Nico, high base damage on those abilities, and of course the poking capability as well coming in from her Q and snare that goes through minions. If you're gonna look at the mid lane matchup, we do know that Orianna has a shield, built-in resistances with that as well, but will it be enough to fare against this Nico in the mid lane for at least the early part of the game?
Yeah, there's a reason why Nico, though there is a reason why Nico is at the very top of the meta right now in the pro scene. It's because Nico has such good snares, and especially against Ardent, they like to ball up together. Like the Tristana, the Orianna, their entire team, they like to stick together into one massive death ball. And this Nico is really good at hitting that. So all of her abilities, all of her damage abilities hit multiple targets, and it's really good to counter this. But at the same time, Orianna's able to boost her teammates, and on top of that, the ult, the shockwave, the danger of the shockwave is of course in the hands of Ja. Let's see if Ja can make good use of the Orianna ball and threaten the Renekton or the Saya from getting into position and dealing tons of damage.
And of course, tons of damage will be the story of this game, as we're seeing Oriana and the Tristana paired up, and of course with the Cataclysm as well. Ball delivery system will be online together with Wang's Jarvan, of course. But looking at the side of GGTY, you did mention that Nico is really great on hitting a lot of targets in one big team fight. But we have to take note that Saya is a fairly safe AD carry as well, especially against Nautilus with a point-and-click stun. Is one of the champions that can actually dodge that point-and-click stun with the Feather Storm. So again, this Saya pick is really massive for GGTY. But this is going to be just the first game of this best of 3 series. So for our supporters over there, our loyal FSL viewers, and for the team supporters in Guadalupe as well, quick shout out to you guys. And of course, if you're watching at home and just supporting their teams, make sure that your voice is heard on the comments below. Share the stream. We have viewers in Twitch, Facebook, and YouTube. I do hope that you are enjoying the show right now. This is going to be the finals, and whoever wins this best of 3 will be going to Singapore to compete and represent the Philippines.
Yeah, it's really exciting gameplay, especially this is probably one of the biggest female esports tournaments. So it would be great if you were the first, like the pioneer, to represent the Philippines, to represent all women gamers in the Philippines. That would be like a great honor for whichever team manages to land that spot.
Yeah, and we are looking at Ardent and GGTY right now. One of them will be going out of this best of 3 as the victor and as the representative of the Philippines. So this is going to be a lot of pressure around these players. I mean, this is the first step that they have to take in order to go to the international stage. The only team that had a good amount of experience internationally was Team Amplify, and Ardent was able to secure a win against them. So Ardent Esports might be in high spirits right now, but they have one more team to take down if they want to get out of this tournament as a victors. And for GGTY, was the game for Ardent Esports that they watched? You did say that they watched, and it was obvious in their draft. Was it scary to see Cha just get 2 pentakills in one game?
Yeah, there's definitely was a lot of emphasis on Cha in that game. But I think they were GGTY was able to respond to that, and I think they're very well, actually really well prepared to face against the threat of the hyper carry that is Cha. I think both teams, again, so much pressure on them. I don't think both teams, like for GGTY, I don't think they wanted to sweep only to lose at the very last step. And for Ardent, I don't think they fought through the entire gauntlet and played that many games just to lose at the last step. So for both teams, I think for early game, we'll probably see some decently active jungler play. Anything it takes to find just the smallest foothold that you can rely on, just so that you can take the first game of the series and run that momentum for the win.
Yeah, and speaking of momentum, it certainly is on the side of Ardent Esports right now, but they are facing a massive wall on GGTY. GGTY, I'm not quite sure in what they can deliver, especially after winning on day 1. Of course, they had the whole day to rest in day 2. That might get into your head or get into your hands, to be honest. Like, having so many hours just not doing anything would actually damage you a little bit. But then again, you can look at it at the brighter side that they don't have a fatigue factor working around them. Meanwhile, for Ardent Esports, it's still a disadvantage that they played so many games today that their mental state is already, at this point, I think it's already tired, but they have to reset. They have to move on. This is going to be the final, one last push for Ardent Esports. But for GGTY, that one last push for Ardent Esports, this is going to be their first step out of the shadows for day 2. And if they secure a win against Ardent Esports, that's just really demoralizing.
Yeah. So what both teams, of course, definitely want to win, but I want to see the same level of play that we see in pro play. Like, so these are semi-pro players, but they've obviously shown a really an insanely high standard of play, and I hope we see the best of that here in this finals.
Yeah, and speaking of which, this kind of play actually reminds me of a more calculated and calculated and aggressive kind of play style that we've been seeing around the pro scene. And to be honest, I'm really entertained watching these games because usually when I've been casting around the competitive scene for quite some time now, and I've been seeing a lot of teams just to go in, slug it out, not thinking of what's gonna happen. But these teams, they always keep in mind that some fights shouldn't be even taken. Some fights should be called off, and some fights we should go all in. They know when to strike, and I think that's the essential skill to have when you want to win in competitive games. Knowing when to fight and when to pull the trigger is a skill that you don't get immediately. You get that through experience, and as you said, all the R's cashed in for Cha earlier to get that 2 pentakills, and of course for the whole of Ardent Esports who've been practicing several R's together. That's the culmination of what they practice for, and they have to show what they're made of right now facing GGTY, because GGTY, we did say that Ardent put in a lot of R's, and I'm pretty sure GGTY put in a lot of effort as well.
Yeah, definitely no lack of talent and training for both of these teams. I'm just looking to see. I think it's right now it's just a matter of wits, who has the better mindset coming into this game, because definitely both of these teams are at the top of their class. So whoever comes in more confident with their game plan, whoever comes in more confident to execute a risky play, will definitely take it all.
Yeah, and of course this is going to be a best of 3, so whatever happens in game 1 will dictate the pace of this whole series, and getting a win on the game 1 of a best of 3 is always a nice step to have, because it already pushes the enemy team into do or die situation.
Yeah, so going into the early game, trades here, there's already a trade happening at top lane. Shen, of course, losing that matchup. But on the other hand, we already see Jarvan placing an early pink ward.
Flag and drag flashes in, but doesn't land with a knock up. The stun is there for Jones, but Vambi a little bit tanky on that Shen, and that was an awkward flag and drag cancel combo coming in from Weng, but a great attempt. Then again, Serment just had the, I think, spider sense to flash away immediately.
Yeah. So Weng going for some really high tempo plays right now, but what this has done is it has put as the trade happens,
stun is
that's
there,
big.
press the attack, huge chunk of damage over there that forces Shen to either hug his turret or go back to base and teleport, but he does opt to recall right now.
Yeah, so Vambi playing once again the role of the tank in this team. Has to take the loose for now, has to take the lower CS, has to back early, has to probably expend the teleport early, but of course showing up late game the previous game. I want to look at the junglers right now. The Jarvan only has 7 CS to the Trundle's 20 CS. The Trundle having a much higher HP right now compared to Jarvan. And I think Weng is really looking for some foothold. So look right now, there's another gank coming in at bot lane. Let's see if it pushes through.
Actually he's just dewarding over in the bush, but he won't be able to get one. The
comes
flag
in.
and drag doesn't land, but the hook will. That's gonna be no snare coming in from this Saya, but the damage is real. The bomb will be ticking down on Fofi, but it won't deal a significant amount of damage. And that, might I just say, it's gonna be a failed gank for Ardent Esports.
Yeah, so the intent was there. You know, Weng had good intentions, but unfortunately this Jarvan just, I think, forcing the ganks too much. It's buying some tempo for the lanes.
Lands on the Saya. The bomb is on the wrong person. The ignite is sticking down. That could have been a kill for Fofi if the bomb was on the right person.
Pillar?
Aiko is there. Pillar forced out a flash, and that's gonna be 2 flashes burned for the side of Ardent Esports. The bite is there. Aiko jumping on this bot lane, but the first blood goes to Shen as GGTY Aiko gets a kill on Shendi. That's gonna be 1 for 1, but the first blood goes to GGTY, to Ardent Esports rather.
Yeah, wow. So okay, the Shen coming in clutch there, managing to get the solo kill on the Renekton. I really want to see how that happens. The Renekton really low, didn't want to back just yet. Forces the CS, and Vambi of course getting the last auto attack. Okay, that was a little silly right there. But I want to put some emphasis on Aiko's timing at bot lane. Was able to counter gank that. They managed to pick up a kill on Shendy over the bot lane of Ardent Esports, going a little too aggressive. And that was a good call by GGTY to secure that kill and get the counter gank in.
Yeah, and of course, counter ganks for Trundle has always been effective, especially with that pillar. And we are seeing that Jarvan is now just level 3 and Trundle already one level ahead. I think 1.5 since the camps are still up there. The Krugs is still up for grabs for this Trundle, and that's a huge gap for the early game, of course. Wang, what you want to do right now would be just to even out that gap, make sure that your next gank actually is successful. But again, Wang has played great Jarvan last game, and this game looks to be no different. But then again, a lot of flashes were burned early on.
Yeah, this Jarvan is just absolutely putting all the eggs into the gang basket.
Flag and drag doesn't land, but the dredge line does, and that's gonna be Aiko looking to be in trouble, but the snare from Nico will be there, and the smite will be burned to slow down Wang, but the ignite is sticking down on Aiko as the shield from the Karma will save his life, but this is gonna be a 2v3 for the side of Ardent Esports. Will they try to engage? Dredge line is used to escape, and that's gonna be no kills on the river side. GGTY with a massive response.
Yeah, I'm not too sure what they were exactly fighting about. As some trading happens in top lane, Renekton takes a turret hit, but I think Vambi actually really impressive, managing to stabilize the lane, actually controlling this wave, although a little bit behind. But in that fight in the river, I'm not too sure what they were fighting about. I think Wang just decided to go in with the help of Shendy, but GGTY of course is really good at responding to ganks. Like these are the type of teammates you want in solo queue. You always want that. You always want that response coming in at the right time. You want to be able to rely on your teammates, and that was what Aiko got from her teammates, which is a great response from both the Nico and the Karma, even almost managing to kill Wang and Shendy.
Yeah, and of course, props to Wang and Shendy as well to call it quits when you know that it's already a losing team fight. And that's going to be a taunt landing on this Renekton. A lot of damage mitigated with that shield, and that's going to be the Grasp of the Undying just securing a lot of damage and sustain for this Shen. And we talked about Renekton being a bully in the top lane, and Shen Bambi looking to say otherwise.
Yeah, so that 10 CS deficit, because of the kill, it has actually swung the lane in the exactly opposite way that we were expecting it to. So right now, Jonas, if she is not able to find a way to regain the lead, maybe get a kill, or at least gain maybe around 15 to 25 more CS than the Shen will be able to hold trades, especially with the shield coming up.
Yeah, and Shield Breaker won't mean a lot at this point because you would want to use your empowered ability to get that reset on the queue, of course. So Shield Breaker not really a big factor in the lane right now. Maybe on Stand United later on.
So the Tristana right now is pulling ahead 20 CS, and we can see there's a skill gap between the two bot laners. Fortunately for GGTY, both of their bot laners were able to get assists, so that kind of mitigates the 20 CS deficit. But this Tristana already with the BF sword is actually really dangerous, and it's gonna be really difficult to catch her considering almost all of the threats.
Shockwave lands on the true Nico. The illusion just runs away to safety and disappears out of thin air. That's gonna be, I think, a huge cooldown for Ja. Not quite sure, and why would he engage in a solo kill right there, as Sermant was fairly healthy.
Yeah. Between both mid laners, I don't think they can really kill each other. At most, bring each other down. But their trading pattern is very obvious. Like the Nico has to approach, and the Orianna has to approach as well. So although one person can come out ahead of the trade, it is not by much.
Yeah, and we are seeing that Shendy is trying to land some hooks here, try to zone out the enemy bot laner. We're seeing Kyle and Fofi respect that space that the dredge line can land, and we are looking at the item differential over here. It's a BF sword to a Warhammer, but the top lane, Shen taunt is enough to buy him his life. The pillar will be used for nothing, and that's going to be 3 people in the top lane, but Shen right now is safe. And looking back at this top lane, that's going to be Shen just trying to hug his tower a little bit, and the junglers will be gone. So right now, what can you say about this top lane?
Yeah, this top lane, I think what GGTY wants is to maintain the isolation of this top lane. So far, they have attracted Wang down to the bot side so that all of the ganks are coming down bot side. They managed to gain Air Drake, but that is not really... it's not as big as a Fire Drake or maybe even an early Ocean Drake. But it is still something. But what's important to GGTY, like they're okay with Ardent Esports getting Air Drake as long as this Renekton manages to obtain. So we were talking about the Renekton obtaining a 15 to 25 lead. It has already ballooned to nearly 30 CS lead. And what GGTY wants is to isolate that lane. They want to make sure the Renekton can take safe trades against the Shen.
Yeah, but speaking of safe trades, looks like this is going to be one of them as the press the attack
All
lands,
in.
and that's going to be Dominus all in for Jonas over here. Vambi looks to be in trouble. The flash is burned, but there you go. Jonas diving that turret and takes a kill on Shen.
Yeah, so this is exactly what GGTY wants. They just want a pure 1v1 for the Shen. They want the Shen to be losing so bad that if the Shen leaves lane, all GGTY has to do
this might be dangerous for Wang though.
Yeah.
Anyways, continue with your point.
Yeah, so they want Jonas to be so far ahead that Vambi can has no option but to stay in lane no matter how important the team fight, because if Vambi leaves that lane at any point, they could lose so many turret plates for them.
Yeah, and speaking of turret plating, that rounds about 800 gold if you're able to get it, and for a team to get 3 turret platings, I mean 5 turret platings for 3 outer turrets, that's gonna be a massive swing in gold, but no team has been able to do that as of now in day 2. So I guess we are gonna see the current trend that we have in the tournament where the laning is fairly safe. They take calculated risks, and that only, it's more of the pressure canceling out each other. That's why that's what we've been seeing in this tournament. A lot of the plays are canceled by each other because there was just too much risk to take, and both teams doesn't want that.
Yeah, speaking of risks, Wang just decides to solo Rift Herald right now. Not even caring about the positions of the enemy jungler, as maybe Aiko will pass by the Rift Herald and discover it. This Tristana, of course, coming in big, dealing so much turret plate damage, maybe getting even 2 or 3 turret plates. So they managed to get 2. That's already big. 160 gold to both the Nautilus and the Tristana. Really important to note is that there's already a 30 CS lead as the trade starts.
Yep, and this is gonna be a dangerous way for Jonas over here. Teleport is up, so I'm expecting him to recall, and she does recall. She will be teleporting back to that lane safely, but she does I think that she does want to get the minions in the top side, but that's gonna be a Nico, a 4-man gang in the bot lane. The stun does land on Cha, but Cha received the stand united, and that's not gonna be cancelled by Renekton, and Ardent gets a kill of their own on Kyle. The Subjugate will be there to provide some tankiness, but the Orianna is already entering the fight. A 2-man shockwave coming in from Orianna. Featherstorm is called. Aiko with a stopwatch delays his death, but a flash will be burned as well, and this is gonna be Cha and Ja getting kill after kill. The rocket jump actually repositions him, but this is going to be Judd delaying the inevitable. This is going to be a dead Orianna. One more auto attack, and that's going to be a double kill for Nico. GGTY winning that team fight, but a lot of mechanics in play over there.
Yeah, Cha definitely fought that tooth and nail back in to get her team back into the game. As this Jarvan discovers the Nico.
Awkward Cataclysm there, but traps down the real one, both of them actually, and that's gonna be a stopwatch burn. One more auto attack, and the Karma is there to provide some protection. Flag and Drag will be online for the protection, but the Karma constantly auto attacking Wang, and this is gonna be Wang safe for now. That was an awkward flash Cataclysm.
Yeah, the Nico went invisible just as Wang decided to flash Cataclysm. So it kind of seemed a little wonky right there, but the intent was obviously there to try and kill the Nico. Obviously not fast enough. Good props on Kyle, right? Like, this is the teammate you want. You want teammates that run right at you when you are in trouble, and that is exactly what Kyle did. In the previous team fight at bot lane.
Yeah,
so
and Kyle has been really there for the whole team, not just for Saya, and that's the beauty of having Saya as your AD carry. Saya just allows you to roam around the map knowing that Featherstorm will be always there to buy him the safety that he needs in case of a turret dive. But looking at this Riverside, Dredge line does land on the fake Nico, and that's not going to be any kills in the Riverside. But Dragon is up. It's going to be another Air Drake, and I think Ardent Esports is in the position to take it, but the contest will be there for GGTY.
Yeah, so Ardent Esports is really good, is doing a really good job, but making the map smaller. They want to group up together and fight and get shot ahead.
But hold that thought. That's going to be a not ult on this Karma, but a snare as well. A lot of damage coming in from Fofi as he gets a kill on Shendi. Rocket jump to 2 people, and that's not going to be good for him as a shutdown kill will go to the Saya. Still auto-attacking Shen, trying to get a kill on Fofi, but Fofi kiting around. One more auto-attack, and that's going to be a triple kill for the Saya. One more kill for Sermon over there as Oriana buys safety with the Dissonance.
Yeah, a lot of back and forth here. But what the gold lead doesn't say, at 200 gold, 2k gold lead. As we see a replay here coming in for the Air Drake, is that the fight starts. Shendi, I think, walks up too far forward. But the Nico manages to land a lot of damage. The Tristana really bold on the play, and I like it, but I think underestimating the damage that that Saya has, and it lands, it kills her, and it eventually costs the rest of the team fight for Ardent Esports.
Yeah, and we are looking at a pause right now. Not quite sure what the technical issues are, but we do have a team in War Gods Guadalupe right now to check on what's happening. So we're just gonna wait on them to fix this technical issue. I do hope that this is not a major issue for our players over here, because this is the best of 3 finals. You don't want any issues regarding the finals as much as possible, but that's why we do have the pauses. It's to give time to actually fix these errors, or maybe if they're lagging or the mouse is broken. Of course, there are inevitable issues in every tournament, and of course we are giving them all the time that they need to fix those problems. But right now we are still looking at a pause, but looking at the current situation of the game, we are 16 minutes inside the game. 9-5 is the kill score, and for our gold lead over here, it will be going to GGTY with a roughly 2k gold lead against Ardent Esports. And what are your thoughts about this game as we're entering the mid game?
Definitely a lot of action coming in here. Tons of fights around what you would expect with which we wouldn't expect around an Air Drake. Of course, really, of course, it'll come in big for Ardent Esports now that they have 2, but we did not expect such huge fights around them, and especially there's been so much action happening around the bot lane. Ardent Esports, of course, taking full advantage of that Chen, being able to pull off those cross map plays. Meanwhile, John is not able to follow up as much, only having one global, that being the teleport. Had to walk down that fight. I really like this game. There's lots of action, and both teams playing to what both teams want. Like, they're following each other's game plan, so it all boils down to the execution.
Yeah, of course, execution will be the final factor here, especially in the best of 3 finals. And looking at Vanby right now, we are super surprised on what she's been doing in the top lane, especially getting a solo kill on Renekton early on. That's gonna be massive if you think about it. But then again, Jonas and the whole squad of GGTY doesn't want that. They know that they can take on this Shen and give Renekton the priority that he needs. So the moment Jonas capitalizes on an error made by Vanby, she gets a solo kill of her own, and then after that it was just Jonas bullying Shen like how we predicted. But again, for Vanby to be able to get an early advantage, that was a surprise for us.
Yeah, there's a lot of ego. There's a lot of egos in this tournament, and both sides definitely don't wanna take the loss, right? Like Vanby, we expected her to have picked into that matchup and just like take the loss, take the CS deficit. But no, like we saw Vanby, of course, fighting tooth and nail back for that lead. And I really like that both of these teams do not consign themselves to losing or taking a single loss, be it in CS or kills. They always fight back. They always try to get even with whoever won the last fight.
Yeah, and we have to give credit on both teams over here to know their win conditions, because we are on this finals already. Both teams are already known to be great competitors, and some great competitors don't have minds that they have. I'm gonna be honest. Like, there are some people, like some talented players who are just good at the game. Doesn't mean that they think about the game.
Yeah.
They think that's where shot callers come in. That's where what you call puppet masters or coaches come in. These talented players need to be shaped and given information that they don't usually study. But for the players over here, I get the feeling that they study the game more than others. Like, we see them create judgments based on not on mechanics, but on the whole sense of logic inside the game, where I've been talking about this for quite some time now. Like, I do find it commendable for a lot of teams over here in FSL for them to see what fights to take and what fights to not take. And again, I have to stress it to the viewers. It's a skill that you don't get immediately. It's a skill that you get from immense amount of practice. And my respect right now for a lot of teams here in FSL is just really great.
Yeah, it always is underappreciated, the ability to shot call. Imagine how much information you have to look at the game on top of the minimap. Like, right, you have things that are happening in your screen and you things happening on the map, and you have to infer so much information from what you're seeing on your screen. Like, look at all these ward placements. Where could they be?
Or the timers as well.
Yeah.
And again, macro game is a important or integral part of the game, especially in competitive. But again, it all boils down to execution. Even if you have the mind to win this fight, you have to be able to deal with 2v1s like this. Jonas will be against this Jarvan and Shen, and will be pushing this 1v1 against Shen. This is a 3v1 now. He has to back off. This is going to be Jonas trying to protect his outer turret. No turret platings will be given to the team right now, but Rift Herald will be down, and that was kind of sad use of Rift Herald over there.
Yeah, they were really expecting for a kill on Jonas. I'm not sure if that was the best way to use Rift Herald, but it was definitely a heads up play from them. If only they got the kill, they would have gotten so much more. So I can understand their the logical process behind it. Of course, they could have used it at mid lane as well.
And again, we are at the pause right now, looking at the whole composition of this. And we are in the mid-game phase. A few minutes ago, we were entering, and you did say that it is not the best use of the Rift Herald. What could have been a better use of Rift Herald?
I think they put the cart before the horse. Definitely, they had to get the kill first before putting down the Rift Herald, unless it was about the timeout. Otherwise, I think it could have been best used at mid lane, because they do not want that Nico out running and about. They always want the lane shoved into the Nico.
Yeah, but something we just received report from the team we have over in War Gods Guadalupe. Apparently, there was a major bug inside the game. I mean, like, by major bug, I mean there's a cockroach around. so we had to pause, just kill that cockroach, and we are re-entering the game right now. Of course, cockroaches, it is gonna be a big hassle, but that's gonna be a team fight in the top lane. Pillar is called, and then Eco ult as well. That's gonna be a two-man stun as Jonas gets a kill on Wang. That's gonna be Sermon on a rampage as Shen goes down as the second kill. Jaw looks to be in trouble. One more auto attack from Ico would seal the deal, but the movement speed is too real for this Orianna, as that's gonna be a 2-for-0 exchange in favor of GGTY.
Yeah, so I think that Cockroach really swung the favor into GGTY. They weren't as scared of the Cockroach as the other team, so they managed to play that team fight really well. The Nico ult was insane. Like it saved the Renekton, and it also dealt so much damage to the other team. It swung the entire favor. They get a red buff off of this and a top lane tower. So now the gold lead is up to 3.5k, and it leaves the Renekton open for any rotations.
Yeah, and we are gonna look at the replay of what happened here in the top lane.
Yeah, so at first Ardent started the fight, but GGTY managed to turn it around. As I said, the Nico ult came in, but unfortunately they were not able to chase down this Orianna W, coming in really clutch that time. But they did get this turret, so no big deal.
Yeah, that's gonna be a great dissonance coming in from Ja, but an even greater play for GGTY to get a 2-for-0 trade over there in the top lane, plus the first break of the game as well. But looking at the bot lane turret of GGTY, looks like Ardent will be trying to get that one, as Cha gets a huge chunk of her health gone by this Karma. And again, the poking capabilities of Karma is just really massive, especially with the empowered Q.
Yeah, this Nico's really enjoying the game. 4-0-2, already on the high part of her power curve. Usually she'd start out a little weak, but has completed her first item and is about, I think, should be completing the Spooky Ghosts item, the Twin Shadows.
Yeah, Twin Shadows.
Twin Shadows.
Spooky
so
Ghosts.
Spooky Ghosts. Okay.
Yeah,
so
you can actually type in Spooky Ghosts in the shop and it
really?
actually appears. Yeah, not even kidding. Guys, you should try that out later on your normal games. But right now, just watch FSL. A lot of exciting games over here. And the dragon will be spawning a minute from now. I'm not quite sure in what dragon will be spawning next, but it looks to be an Ocean Drake, and that's going to be massive, paired up with Air Drake. That's going to be a lot of sieging potential, especially for both teams over here who has AD carries that can push exceptionally well.
Yeah, this bot lane is actually it's actually 20 minutes, but what it feels for this bot lane is it feels like it's like at 8 minutes, right? They're still stuck on their laning phase, and I'm glad both teams are taking their time to chill. You know, if the shot caller is a support, they have time to think about how to play the game later. But so far the lane state has not changed much. Like, there's only one tower down at 20 minutes, much slower than the games that we'd usually have, and I like that both teams are taking a much more measured attempt at this game.
Yeah, and this is going to be attempted dragon take for GGTY. They do burn the rocket jump, and this dragon is going down fairly fast. So I don't think Ardent Esports is in the position to actually steal this away. Will they take a team fight over it though? And they actually back off after that, and actually that was a great call by GGTY.
Yeah, it really was. The Ocean Drake will go really well, considering that the game is really slow. So you can take small trades, you can take big trades, and you'll not have a big problem. The big problem is that Cha just took down her first turret, and what this means is that finally, after 21 minutes, the Tristana can move around to other lanes and take down turrets, and GGTY will have to be on their toes to respond to that.
Yeah, and I think this is going to be a completed rapid fire cannon as well for Cha. The moment she goes back to lane, she has been holding on with that Infinity Edge for quite some time, so the moment she goes back, let's just wait and see if this is going to be a completed rapid fire cannon. And it is going to be rapid fire cannon, extremely potent in pushing those outer turrets, especially with outer turrets being low in armor right now. We do have the turret plating is gone already for around 8 minutes, so this is gonna be easy for Tristana to get those outer turrets out of the way.
Yeah, so now they put her in top lane. This Renekton has to vacate immediately. He absolutely cannot fight a 2v1 against the Tristana that is this fed. The Renekton only having 1.5 items. Meanwhile, the Shen absolutely content with collecting those waves at bot lane. Wang even offering the Krugs, right? Junglers, take note. You're supposed to offer your Krugs to your carries, and this should put, this should put Tristana far ahead.
But the slow does land in the snare as well. A lot of damage coming in from Popping Blossom. Ja already 1/4 of her HP, even without a Nico ultimate. An ignite in a Nico ult could have been lethal for her, but then again, that's too much of a risk to take for Sermit over there. And that was a great trade, to be honest. Just the basic abilities chunking down the Orion.
Yeah, it's like a cookie cutter trading pattern from Nico. You get the slow, you land the snare, you land the Q, and suddenly they find themselves like with 25% HP and having to back, and this is creating so much space for GGTY, like because the mid lane is always pushed into Ardent Esports. There's so much room for this Trundle to move about. The river is almost always free, and the Jarvan will have a tough time moving around unseen.
Yeah, and speaking of moving around, we are seeing that Jarvan and Trundle is hovering around the riverside. The Dragon area doesn't have a lot of objectives. I guess the Scuttle Crab could be considered as an objective, but then again, there's not a lot of things to do at the bot side of the map right now, except for taking the turret if you're GGTY.
Yeah, I really like this itemization by Shandy. Let's talk about items real quick. Shandy has gotten the Zeke's Convergence, and this is a really good item considering that GGTY has a lot of small range, right? Like the Nico, although she's ranged, she actually wants to get in a little bit closer as the fight starts.
Yeah, and it's gonna be a small trade in the bottom lane, not actually gonna get a kill, and we do see that Bambi isn't already the part of the game where she's extremely tanky to spend time on. You would just want to farm your wave, try to get a push, and Shen at this point is just extremely hard to kill.
Yeah, so the top laners, like, it's starting to chill out for a bit. They can't really dive each other, so what's happening is there's just like a ping pong between minion waves, and we'll see what happens, because right now the tools for Ardent Esports are all in Weng's hands. Weng is the very first person to go in. Weng is the easiest form of engage, and we'll see if a fight starts here.
But the snare does land on Cha. Cha looks to be in trouble. The pillar doesn't actually cancel the rocket jump. She's able to have her position over there. Shockwave doesn't land on anyone. That's gonna be Sturman taking a kill against this Nautilus. Cataclysm lands on two people. John is in the back line, gonna deal some massive damage as Fofi gets a kill on Shen. One more attack, and that's gonna be Jarvan as the second kill. That's gonna be a double kill for Fofi. It might be Baron for GGTY.
Yeah, it's definitely Baron for GGTY. Serment has been on top of every single rotation that GGTY has in response to Ardent Esports. Of course, even was first to the rotation as compared to Ardent Esports. Predicted that Ardent Esports would take the path of River as they're taking Baron now, but predicted that Ardent Esports would pass through the river. Manages to catch the Tristana, and because of that, the Nautilus could not leave the Tristana side, and this causes the Nautilus to get caught. As we see here, so the snare lands, and of course the Nautilus has to protect his carry. Nautilus gets caught, the Stand United goes on the wrong target, and so they get locked into this fight without really any support for this Tristana. So although the Tristana has a lot of damage, the tanks were just too far split, and all of this can be sourced because of the Nico snares and slows.
Yeah, and even if Nico did a lot of things in that team fight, I just have to give credit to Aiko as well. Aiko with a Gargoyle Stoneplate actually tanked, I think, more than 2,000 points of damage over there, especially with the Subjugate giving him a few points of life back. Aiko just soaked up almost all of the damage coming in from Ardent Esports in that fight alone. So that's the power of a tank over there. Trundle with a Gargoyle Stoneplate will be extremely hard to kill and extremely annoying to deal with.
Right, so take a look at this. Trundle with a Subjugate already takes armor from an enemy tank, and you even put on press the attack, which increases the damage that your teammates do to a target. So Aiko is just going full tank buster build, and I think it has we've seen it in team fights where the front line of Ardent Esports has just absolutely melted in front of this Nico, this Trundle, and this Saya comp.
Yeah, I think that right now Aiko will be the unsung hero for GGTY. Yes, Sermant and Jonas should deal a lot of damage, but it shouldn't be that big. It's mainly because of Aiko's ability with the Subjugate to, let's say, dumb down the senses of every tank that comes in front of them. So again, this Nautilus, she can't be too confident in engaging team fights, especially when Subjugate is up, because Subjugate will just mess things up with the armor, of course.
Yeah, so right now, for good news for Ardent Esports is that at the very least, your Orianna is not yet like 0-4-0. The Orianna is 1-2-2 and is only a couple of CS down. So the thing is, the Orianna is one of the biggest key factors in a team fight against GGTY. The previous fight, the engage was a little wonky, so we didn't really see it. But the Orianna ult can just absolutely destroy the comp of GGTY. Imagine catching all 5 members in that death ball in a shockwave. Can absolutely turn the fight around.
Well, of course, that's gonna be a hard feat to do, but for our Orianna, she did miss a crucial shockwave earlier that resulted to GGTY winning a team fight, then the Baron. So as of now, we are seeing GGTY trying to siege the mid lane of Ardent Esports. Ardent Esports looking to have no response in the mid lane. We are seeing a 1v1 in the bot lane. I don't think that they'll get kills over here. This is gonna be another wet noodle fight, and I'm just waiting for them to pull the trigger in the mid lane.
Yeah, look at this this champion spread across the map for GGTY. They know how to absolutely maximize the Baron buff. I think a fight is impending as Wang is already positioning to flag and dragon and lock everybody down, followed by a shockwave. But so far, GGTY going for a 4-1 split.
Yeah, they have to respect the Nico over here. The slow from the Glacial Augment is a massive tool to zone out people as they get the first inhibitor of the game in the mid lane. They're transitioning immediately to this bot lane, trying to get another inhibitor without fighting. And this is gonna be Ardent Esports just surrendering 2 inhibitors to GGTY.
Yeah, there's a lot of confidence to take that play. In the first place, GGTY was not super ahead when they made the decision to go for 2 inhibitors. But of course, they had Baron and they made the absolute full use of it. Most people would already back after gaining 1 inhibitor, but no, GGTY wanted the absolute best chances for them to win, and so they took 2 inhibitors. And at this point, when you have 2 inhibitors taken from the enemy team, it's really difficult to win because all the enemy team has to do, right, they're already pings at top lane, they just have to push top lane. The other 2 lanes will push themselves.
Yeah, of course, the super minions will do the job for you. It's like when you're cooking, you let the knife do the work for you. And in this case, we are gonna let the minions do the work for GGTY. GGTY right now, they are opting to get that top lane right now. Top lane will be the priority as no objectives will be spawned. Actually, no, 1 minute from now, the dragon will be spawning. So I don't think it'll matter much because if Ardent Esports tries to take that dragon, it's only gonna give GGTY the opportunity to either finish the game or get another inhibitor.
Yeah, so GGTY is already on the cusp of completing the victory lap. They go from mid to bot to top, and when they take all of those inhibitors, it'll be nearly impossible for Ardent Esports to make a comeback. Of course, Ardent Esports will still have the shockwave, and I'm really looking forward to seeing a good one in this game because Ardent Esports are absolutely relying on it to make a comeback.
Yeah, they need Ja to hit a great shockwave that includes Sermon and Folfi. They have to get one of the carries at least in that shockwave, but you are looking at a 6-0-3 Nico with a Zhonya's Hourglass. That's gonna be hard to do if you're Orianna. But right now we are looking at the dragon area. Ardent Esports trying to respond to that dragon, but I'm not quite sure if they have the tools to actually contest. As I said, this will only free up the space around the map. They have to give away this Mountain Drake.
Yeah, I think it was a smart move from Ardent Esports. You don't want the game to be decided over a Mountain Drake. What you do want the game to be decided is over who gets the Baron, because the Baron, if they utilize it properly, can be a 6th man for Ardent Esports, and if they position themselves properly over the wall, they'll have the upper hand. As the Spoopy Ghost is coming out.
Yeah, Spoopy Ghost actually doesn't land. Actually lands. There you go. Glacial Augment is really annoying. A lot of slows coming in from Sermon.
So annoying.
And they are paying on this Baron rather right now, so we're just waiting. I think this is going to be a free Baron for GGTY. Jorban can opt to steal, but if she doesn't succeed in stealing out this Baron, it's going to be the end for Ardent Esports unless a miracle happens, and we've seen a lot of miracles happen today.
Yeah, GGTY not relying on the chance as the snare lands.
The Nico ult won't land on Cha, and Cha with the Stand United will be there trying to provide some protection. The snare. Oh, and then that's going to be a 3-man shockwave with the Nautilus ending on 2 people. A lot of damage coming in from that Tristana. That's going to be another reset with Adonius Hourglass for Sermon. A lot of canceling mechanics over here, and that's going to be a shutdown kill for Nautilus, a double kill for Tristana. And this might mean Ardent Esports taking the Baron, taking some turrets. A clean ace, baby!
Yeah, that was just some absolute high-level play from Cha. That is some big balls play. Just jumping into the enemy team, going straight for their carries. This results in a Baron and some more, like maybe a turret or 2. But that just swings the tempo all the way back into Ardent Esports' favor. When GGTY responds, they'll of course still have a chance to, they'll still have multiple chances to fight it back. But this Baron will definitely be very welcome for Ardent Esports.
Yeah, and we oh my god, this, I already told you, dude, miracles do happen, and they actually pull it off. A 5-4-0 team fight behind.
Yeah, you think this fight starts with Cha getting caught and you're like, oh no, but Cha's like, this is just the hugest bait. They funneled GGTY into a choke, and Ja, of course, coming super huge, managing to land the 3-man shockwave, and Cha with a big balls play, jumping in right there, getting the resets, spacing herself perfectly. This is absolutely pristine. Like, you cannot see this in solo queue. You cannot see this elsewhere. This is like nearly pro level play.
Yeah, as I said, these teams, they know the fights that they have to take. And usually when you see a lot of teams going ahead against, like, if another team were in the situation of Ardent Esports, they would just go slug it out.
Yeah.
And this, they actually delayed it into a place that they know they can win. That Ja can actually land that 3 or 4-man shockwave and turn the tides to their favor. And Ardent Esports, even all odds against them, GGTY was already opting to finish them off, just turns back inside this game. Gold lead is non-existent, and this is just game 1.
Yeah, I think they're looking for a gank on John as John is getting with the slice and dice out. I think Ardent Esports with the perfect timing, so they get Baron and their inhibitors respawn at the same time, so this gives them so much room to move around. Unfortunately, GGTY, since they had map advantage prior to that fight, they hold the ward advantage at the moment. So Ardent Esports using this Baron to stabilize, and I think that's the correct play. If you overextend, you may just end up giving GGTY back the lead. This is the smartest play. This is the best play that they can absolutely do. And right now, it's actually okay. You fall back on the 6-item Tristana, and I think for Ardent Esports, 6-item Tristana, 6-item Orianna, that's really scary. I don't think GGTY will have too many answers to it unless this Nico can pull off something really huge, as huge as that 3-man shockwave.
Yeah, and of course we have to take note that gold lead is non-existent at this point. It's actually even out to the point that it's just 500 gold. And looking at this situation right now, I think for Ardent Esports fans over here, you have to be smiling on what happened. They were almost gonna lose this game. But then again, after that miracle team fight, a clean ace with the Baron buff, the timing could have been more perfect. So right now, the Dragon will be spawning a minute from now, and I'm thinking that Ardent Esports will be opting to take this Baron for a Dragon for themselves, as this is going to be an Elder Drake.
Yeah, so for these two teams, right now they're fighting over Dragon, and there will be an impending fight. The thing is, the gold lead is like, it's so close. It's barely 500 gold. It's less than 500 gold. So right now, it's up to both teams to reset their mindset and say, okay, we are ahead, or we are at the very least even, and this gives us a fighting chance. And so if any teams have any doubts on their players, if they are ahead or if they are not, if anybody doubts pulling the trigger, then that will cause their team to lose. So at this point, whoever wins is definitely the most confident team. It is not about the setup, it is about the mindset.
Yeah, and we are seeing Ardent Esports right now trying to take this Elder Drake. The Shen already backing off, making sure that Stand United won't be cancelled.
Yeah, and I think this back and forth.
But this is gonna be a team fight start. Stand United is used on this Nautilus, but look at shot free hitting on the backline. The Renekton enters that
big
fight. That's gonna be massive. At Nico lands on 2 people. A 3-man shockwave once more. That's gonna be Vambia getting a kill on Aiko. 2 stopwatches over there, and that's gonna be Ja killing Sermon, but that's gonna be Fofi getting a kill on this Orianna. The Renekton is running away from this Tristana, but that's gonna be a shutdown kill for the Karma as Cha falls down. One more auto attack, and Wing might be down to the count, and that's gonna be Fofi getting a kill on the jungler Shen, running for his life over there, but that's gonna be a free Elder Drake, or might even mean the game.
Yeah, so okay, so Vambi of course trying to stay alive because Vambi will be the only one that can possibly wave clear if GGTY choose to push this. I don't think I think with the death timers 20 seconds, 30 seconds of Tristana, I think they can end unless Vambi can pull something really insane.
Yeah, and Vambi already taunting one priority target over here. Renekton slices and dices away, but look at Fofi just trying to focus down on this Nexus. Will be able to do it. That's gonna be GG as GGTY gets the first game of this best of 3 series. That was an intense game.
Yeah, I was talking about confidence prior to that team fight, and there was a lot of confidence on both sides, but it turns out Fofi was even more confident, did not panic when the Tristana came in for the jump, just stood her ground and managed to DPS her way out of the team fight and in for the win. Here's the last team fight coming in. So it all starts when the Trundle walks up too forward. There's so much damage coming in from both carries. On both sides. So here you see the Nico ult kind of whiffing, but Fofi spaces out properly as the GA comes up. She manages to get out to safety with the Renekton helping her, and Cha just tries to jump over her, but she stands her ground and manages to take the kills and take the win.
Yeah, and this is going to be the easy part of it. One more auto attack, and that actually secures the kill on Jarvan. So, again, that has been game 1 of this best of 3 series. And this is already GGTY taking it to match point. And so for Ardent Esports fans over there, make sure to support your team right now. They really need it. They've been playing the whole day today. And for GGTY fans, this is your time to shine.
Yeah.
You already got game 1. Go for the kill. Support your team. We have been your casters for this game 1 and for the best of 3 as well. My name is Oomi and together with me is Veer, and we will be right back after a quick break. And welcome back to game 2 of this best of 3 series. We will be your casters for this game. My name is Oomi and together with me is Veer, and we already saw GGTY getting that first win in this best of 3. So this is going to be match point for Ardent Esports. If they want to win this thing, they have to extend the series.
Yeah, so I think our GGTY off of that last game was a really clutch team fight, so they're definitely on a high. And I think Ardent Esports, they have to channel that double pentakill once again, reset their mindset, think that they are the champions that are deserving of this of going to Singapore.
Yeah, and speaking of deserving, we are already going into the pick and ban phase, so half of the fight is already happening right now. And pick and ban phase, maybe we should not yet actually. Slight miscommunication error there. I apologize for that. But again, looking at both teams, I do think that both teams right now are really deserving to get that slot to represent PH. If only we had the option to have 2 teams to represent Philippines, it could have been, I think, a good way to get. But then again, you can only get 1.
Yeah, it would have been great because for sure, both teams have very similar skill levels. They're both very competitive. So if you were to make someone choose, I think it both games or all of the games or all 3 games that may happen in this series will come right down to the line as we saw with the first game. It is really back and forth. It could have gone any one direction. And
One Direction.
Yeah, One Direction.
Isn't that the band? Alright,
Yeah.
but kidding aside, what is your point again?
Yeah, these 2 teams are have fairly close skill levels. So if there was a way to make 2 representatives to go to Singapore, these 2 teams would definitely be it.
Yeah, and if they're insecure, I don't know what for. And,
And they turn in heads, man.
I mean, when they walk to the door,
Yeah.
so Again, with one direction punch, we are going to the direction of the pick and ban phase right now. As the first ban of the second game of this best of 3 series will be that Trundle for the side of Ardent Esports, and they immediately respond with a ban towards that Ilawi.
Yeah, that Trundle was just too big that game, so they decided to ban it, and that's a good reaction. The Ilawi definitely a target ban against Vambi. Vambi, I guess you're playing tanks again this game. You're getting hard focused by the bans. Meanwhile, Silas, I think it's a target ban against who is it?
The jungler of GGTY,
Yeah.
or maybe the mid laner as well. Silas is one of those strong flex picks as of this current meta. That's really strong all around, and of course the capacity to steal any ultimate available for him is just huge in team fight. So banning out that Silas is a great move for Ardent Esports. And now they ban the Renekton. We did see what this Renekton can do to them, so banning out the Renekton is really smart as well. But they do have priority pick this time around, and they get that Karma. Karma around this tournament has been a contested pick, and again that immediate Karma lock. And meanwhile for GGTY, that's gonna be a Morgana and a Sivir pick for the bot lane duo.
Yeah, so what GGTY did was they target banned two of the AD carries that Ardent may possibly play, and then they immediately pick the Sivir. So this essentially counts as 3 bans to Ardent's AD carry, and that's a really good drafting strategy. They're preventing Ardent Esports from getting those hyper carries. So what could they possibly pick at this point? Like, what can one shot possibly pick at this point? Vambi picking Shen again. Playing tank again, definitely, but at least they banned out the Renekton. Vambi not having such a hard time this coming game.
Well, at least they got that one thing. So okay, I'm gonna stop in the one direction punch right now. We are seeing a Sejuani pick from Ardent Esports, and that only secures them a lot of CC, but a lot of tankiness as well for the front line. We aren't seeing a lot of carry picks as of now for Ardent Esports. I think they're reserving it for at least a counter pick. So right now we are seeing a great Enchanter in Karma, 2 beefy front lines. Meanwhile for GGTY, the solo laners, the carries rather, are already revealed. That's gonna be a Syndra and a Sivir. Syndra is really scary if you think about it. The moment she gets a few balls inside this game, she will be able to just throw them all in the face of the enemy. And that's gonna be a huge burst. Alright, sorry. But we are entering the second banning phase right now.
Alright, so GGTY, they start banning out mid laners because the Nico and the Lux are for sure target bans against Cha in mid lane. Meanwhile, Ardent hasn't picked their AD carry, and so far, besides the 2 bans, the Kaisa and the Caitlyn,
I'm already stopping myself. But again, going back to this pick and ban phase, we're on the second banning phase. We do see a Lux and a Nico ban. The Nico did a lot of things in game 1, so I guess that's gonna be one of the smart bans right now. But they are hovering over the Rammus.
Rammus. Okay, so Rammus really scary, right? Like you just you ball up to people, you walk into them.
Okay, let's stop with the puns. Alright, Rammus is just gonna be a massive wrecking ball for this.
You just did it again, man.
I don't know. But alright, Rammus again in this current meta is just really tanky with the aftershock.
Yeah.
So, man, just really scared to deal with, especially if you don't have cleanse. And I'm not seeing any cleanses in the side of Ardent Esports. So for GGTY, it is indeed going towards their favor right now.
Yeah, so I really like this draft from Ardent Esports. There's a lot of emphasis on Cha. Cha just went up straight for the Vayne hyper carry, and Ardent, of course, agreeing to the game plan. Sejuani and Shen, big front lines. Shen with the stand united just in case the Vayne gets cut out. The Karma definitely for mid lane, so she'll have a lot of AP, and you'll see later on in the game when she completes her items, her shields will be like in the thousands already, so it'll be really difficult to to kill Cha, and not to mention the Janna safety net that we have always talked about.
Yeah, and this is gonna be Karma mid actually.
Yeah.
Plus the Janna, as you said, a lot of protection. They go all in on Cha over here, believing in the ability of Cha to just hyper carry this game away from GGTY. Meanwhile, for GGTY, I think that Jax is a great pick for this. And please, you do have some time left. Ardent Esports, pick up a cleanse on this Vayne and just go heal on Karma. I think that's the smartest way to put it about. But they do go with the Ignite Karma and a heal on this Vayne. Meanwhile, for GGTY, I think this Jax will be a great pick for them. If you're going against this composition that will utilize Vayne, Counter-Strike, discuss it with me.
So Counter-Strike just straight up counters Vayne, because the Vayne can't hit Jax. But the problem is Jax has to be free enough to avoid all of this CC that is surrounding Vayne. So I think it'll be up to maybe up to the Morgana spell shield, and that's a really good combination. But I think with your comment with regards to like the heal and the ignite, the Janna, the bot lane of Ardent is running, I think there's some these are some ego, some confidence decisions. They're like, okay, so our bot lane is very clearly ahead of their bot lane. They're mechanically superior. We do not need the cleanse. Instead, just go for the ignite. We're going for kills. We're gonna get me ahead, and they're gonna finish the game with a lead. Meanwhile, the same thing is happening for GGTY. So right now we have a Jax, and they're picking somebody that can bully the Shen, somebody that can split push against the Shen. So it can be a GP. You have a Renekton, right? You have a Jax. It could possibly be a Kled. And in this case, they chose Jax. This is to punish the Shen leaving the lane. So I think GGTY, their strategy in the first game, they're just gonna do it, but a little more. So they don't want the Renekton in the team fights. They just want the Jax hitting the lamppost, hitting the tower with the lamppost, and of course the Rammus helping bring the Vayne aggro to himself.
Yeah, and of course Rammus can get you actually ahead in lane.
Yeah,
Rammus taunt hovers around 2 seconds to 2.75 as far as I know, and that's a lot of time to give for any laner to just deal the damage that he has to deal. And looking at the Syndra, I think I've seen this somewhere in the competitive scene. Syndra Rammus is indeed a great combo. Rammus just rolls up to the scene, taunts the enemy mid laner, and Syndra just puts down the Qs, then just throws them all, and it's gonna be an easy burst in the mid lane. So that's gonna be that's just gonna be this is gonna be a strong mid lane in terms of Syndra and Rammus. But looking at the whole compositions again, we can have our own analysis over here for our viewers. What are your thoughts about the compositions of both of the teams right now? Again, we are on game 2 of this best of 3 series. This is by far the most pressuring game for Ardent Esports, because if they lose this one, GGTY will be the new champions of FSL, of course, the champions of FSL 2019, if they do get a win against Ardent Esports in this game. But meanwhile, for GGTY, not that they don't have the pressure. Actually, sometimes it even creates more pressure for the team with the win already, because if they don't close it out, the momentum will go against them on the third game, and you never want that for the best of 3. So for our viewers over here, show your support to your favorite team. Make sure that your voice is heard. Share the stream, and of course, if you have your own analysis, feel free to share your thoughts in the comments box below. Make sure to have a healthy conversations with other viewers as well. Esports is meant to be enjoyed together, and we are putting up a show for you guys, and if we want to interact with you as well.
Yeah, I think there's a lot to look at, and a lot that we are as casters will not see. So those comments are insights that that are probably unique to you. We may not even see those, so it would be good if you share them in chat and help us out.
Yeah, and of course, we're just waiting for the players to load inside the Rift. We're excited to bring you game 2 of this best of 3. I really do hope that they put out the best performances that they have. For GGTY, I do hope they go for the kill right now. This is the best time to just get that win against Ardent Esports. But for Ardent Esports, they've played tons of games today. This is their 5th game or 6th game today.
Yeah.
And that's a lot. That's really exhausting. Like, my personal limit for every day is around 12 games, but that's just random solo queue. You're talking about competitive games, 5v5, where you exhaust your mind, you exhaust your exhaust everything, your flexibility on your fingers, basically everything. So this has been a long day for Ardent Esports, and they're not looking to end this yet. They want to extend this. They want more games. And even if exhaustion is a factor, Ardent Esports has to stay strong if they want to represent the Philippines in Singapore. But meanwhile, for GGTY, this is just their second game. They have all the strength they can use. So if they don't go for the kill right now, this might turn bad for them.
Yeah, the problem for GGTY, the biggest concern for them is the campante hits, or the being too confident in their lead, like being too sure of themselves that they have this championship in the bag, which they'll have to fight definitely really hard for it. And if they pull up on the gas at any moment in this game, it could definitely be, there are still chances for a reverse sweep.
Yeah, and reverse sweeps do happen, especially in best of threes, because a lot of it's really quick if you think about it. Best of threes are the quickest way to put about things in finals. But for best of fives, it is a different story. It go one game, then another game. But for best of threes, whoever gets the first game will get the momentum. Then if the second game goes towards the favor of the opposite team, the momentum shifts right back. And it's like playing a game where it's like, actually, I don't have any metaphors for it. I was going to say rock, paper, scissors, race the three, but that doesn't make any sense. So we are just waiting for the players to load into the Rift. It has been a long day for Ardent Esports, and we've been casting nonstop as well. And we want to thank you guys for watching the stream. We would like to thank everyone who shared the stream, supports people in the competitors in Guadalupe, and of course in the chat, and our viewers from Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. So this has been a great day for us, and it's still ongoing. I do hope that this game will bring us to, I think, exciting climax, or maybe an extended series. I'm not quite sure what will happen on this game.
Yeah, I'm really hoping for a 2-1. I think both teams deserve as many games as possible to show how good they are, how close the matches actually are, because they really are. They really are close. No team can give up halfway and still win. Both teams have to keep their foot on the gas. If there was time, I would have really liked to see a best of 5 and watch these two teams duke it out for like how many games is that?
That's gonna be a maximum of 5 games. It is a best of 5, but usually it does end around 3-1. So that's gonna be 4 games. But again, it's been a long day for Ardent Esports. I don't think best of 5 will actually bring even more justice for them. Maybe if we had a separate day for the finals,
that's true.
then maybe we can have a best of 5. But we are running on a 2-day tournament right now, and they are playing in a physical venue in War Gods Guadalupe. Quick shout out to our sponsors over there to providing the venue. And again, for this event, this is gonna be a best of 3 series finals, and we are on the second game. For our viewers who joined the stream just now, GGTY, as you see on our overlay over here, they won game 1, not in a commanding fashion, because Ardent Esports, even when facing a big problem, they managed to pull off miracle team fight. That's what we called it. That was a 4-man shockwave to just decimating everyone in auto attacks. But that was a miracle team fight that extended the game. But ultimately, GGTY just with the big plays over there.
Yeah, but I think for both teams, it really is just a game of chance on who manages to keep their cool for longer. And in that game, it was GGTY, and that resulted in the win. I want to talk about real quick for the items and runes. So I think everything seems pretty standard. The Jax running Conquerors, so of course wants to dominate the lane. The Shen running Grasp.
Yeah, I don't think he has other options.
Yeah, no real other options, but it gives the Shen a fighting chance against the Jax. If the traits are clean for the Shen can definitely put up a fight against the Jax, but on normal circumstances you really wouldn't. Right now, both junglers running the standard aftershock. I think there's not much to talk about that. I think for mid laners, Ja is running Comet, so you're gonna expect to see a lot of early trades as we might see a level 1 5-man cheese.
Yeah, and this is going to be 5 people from GGTY grouping up. This is going to be dangerous. The snare is online.
That's
for Kyle. One snare could seal the deal over here. Cha, you're in trouble. Move away. The snare won't be landing. The flash from Cha will save his life. And this is already looking to be a spicy game 2 for us over here in FSL 2019 as the flash is burned from Cha early on in the game.
Yeah, a lot of things are going on. The team has to respond and get some response, deep vision into the enemy red. Of course, if you're able to track that Ramos, you can totally shut it down. The Ramos not really having any exciting gank paths as Fofi disconnects. But so far the runes and the runes and opening items are actually really quite standard for both teams, save for the John Ignite. But that's because Ardent Esports is confident in their bot lane pulling up ahead.
And of course, again, I'm not quite sure what's happening in the Gorgon's Guadalupe right now. I do hope that all competitors are fine. We are seeing that Fofi just reconnected, and again, we were talking about the summoner spells and the masteries, runes reforged rather. And we are seeing some pretty standard runes over here. But looking at the itemizations, the only difference that we can see over here is that Jax opted for a corrupting potion against Shen, who took a Doran's shield. Doran's shield gives you more stats. It's kind of given, but corrupting potion allows Jax to consistently trade with additional damage and almost an unlimited resource of mana that refreshes every time you go back to base. So corrupting potion is just a really good economic item if you think about it.
Yeah, and it gets even much worse once you hit level 6 because the Shen's ultimate does not affect the lane state. The Shen's ult does not help him win trades. Meanwhile, the Jax's ult at least helps him survive a little bit more with improved tankiness.
And empowered auto attack as well, coming from
the passive
from the R. And of course, we have to view Jax as not as an early game bully, but more of a late game champion who excels in dueling other champs, diving 3 people in the backline with a counter strike, and of course, split pushing. And if we're gonna look at what Jonas has been playing for GGTY, it's always been champions that can actually take on 3 people all at once. And we always see an Ilawi ban, not quite sure if it's for Ardent Esports, but looking at the trend, Jonas can actually play a lot of champions that excel in outplaying 2 or more people. But that's going to be a counter-strike burn. Not a lot of damage though. Bambi really strong on that Shen early, as we've seen from last game.
Yeah, so the top lane state is already obvious. I think Bambi will have to lose out in the CS department. What's interesting is this bot lane. So although Ardent Esports
but hold that thought. The Sejuani is there. The flash is burned on Sivir. Kyle will be looking in trouble over here, but the flash and heal is burned. No summoner spells on this bot lane. Only the ignite left, and that's gonna be a pause. But looking at that bot lane, that was a beautiful aggressive gank coming in from Wang.
Yeah, Wang also tried something similar in the last game. Tried for some level 2, level 3 ganks. Unfortunately, in the previous game, was not able to find those successful ganks. But in this one, Wang got so much value out of that gank. Like they did not even have to burn anything, right? Like Shandy did not need to burn ignite, but they were able to get 3 summoners, and all Wang had to do was press one button. Just had to press Q, and everybody had to, and then all of the bot lane of GGTY had to vacate the lane as soon as possible. And they did it by using their flashes.
Yeah, and I think the rotation coming in from Wang over here speaks volumes about what they want to do in this game. You are running a composition that relies heavily on Vayne to get ahead. Naturally, what you want to do is just to go back in that bottom lane, try to get some ganks on, and try to make sure that your Vayne, one, stays safe, second, gets ahead. So getting that first gank early on in this bot lane is one huge success, burning those summoner spells for the bot lane of GGTY.
Yeah, so Wang running the gauntlet, trying to gank all lanes that she passes through first the bot lane, then goes for the mid lane. I want to go back to the dynamic of this bot lane matchup.
But a snare does land on this Vayne, and it looks like gonna be the first blood of this game as the ignite ticks down. That's gonna be Morgana getting the kill on this Vayne. A great snare from Kyle, then the tormented soil finishing him off. That's a little bit disappointing for Ardent Esports. They should have taken that cleanse.
Yeah, I think that cleanse would have been a really good idea, but again, the mindset of Ardent Esports is to take the win, which is kind of weird as this Rammus may get caught. The snare goes out.
Aiko looks to be in trouble. The snare will be there and no resistances or whatsoever. That's going to be a free kill for GGTY as they get one back. I actually know that's going to be for Ardent Esports.
Yeah. Wait. So as I was rudely interrupted by that kill. So bot lane. So although Ardent Esports is really confident about winning their lane, the way the early game goes is it cannot be refuted that GGTY has drafted a much stronger bot lane duo. So for now, Ardent Esports, until at least they hit level 6 or at least until they get their summoners back, they cannot fight against the domination showing up in almost in a full wave's worth of CS missed out by the Vayne.
Yeah, and this is the power of Sivir and Morgana. Even just Sivir alone, Sivir just bullies out AD carries without the range advantage, and of course is the prime AD carry for controlling waves. So getting that Sivir was really smart for GGTY, and getting Kyle the Morgana as well has been massive for them. But in the top lane, that's going to be a lot of damage. The Conqueror is up. Shen uses the taunt to go away. In the bottom lane, no kills whatsoever. That's just going to be a taunt on the Janna. So a lot of action happening on the map, but no actual kills. So we are just waiting for the first dragon, because looking at the trend on game 1, it's always been a lot of dragon fights.
Yeah, they're both teams definitely value their dragons really highly. They want as much potential for late game as they can, be it air or infernal. It doesn't matter to them. I think though that with GGTY's comp, the Rammus, they're much able to take dragon much sooner simply because of how tanky the Rammus is. But unfortunately, the Stand United may come out, so they have to be more careful of that.
Yeah, and I don't think actually it is going to be a smart take for Rammus if he ever opts to take that Baron. But that's going to be one more Q as Jat takes a solo kill against Sermon. And for Sermon, from a 6-0 Nico from game 1, getting solo killed by Ja on game 2, that's a huge disparity if you think about it.
Yeah, so one of the biggest usually Syndra would win the lane, but one of the biggest checkpoints that a Karma has to pass is obtaining that possible Ludens Echo and starting to clear the wave as fast as the Syndra.
But look at bot lane though. Rammus is rolling towards his Vayne. He actually goes back to safety, but that was great awareness coming in from Cha, knowing that the Rammus was there. Of course, Sejuani was there as well, but look at his top lane. Karma is there for the re-engage, but Jax actually tries to just leave strikes away, and that's gonna be a flash for Ja. Kind of awkward over there. Doesn't actually get a kill. Aggressive flash, I think that was worth for Jax. He burnt the flash from Karma.
Yeah, that was some pretty high value play from John, and just managing to dodge the Q. Otherwise, she would have been dead. But props off to Ja, spreading the lead. She's currently 2-0. So I think that was a heads up play as the binding misses and some trades go off. But I think Ja is doing a really good job at spreading her lead across the map. So she sees the Bambi's being bullied. She tries to get some of the lead back.
Yeah, and we are seeing not that big of a CS differential in the bottom lane. And I would just like to commend that Boots take on Cha early on. What you want is to have more movement speed on this Bane, especially if you're gonna dodge a lot of skill shots in that bottom lane. Meanwhile, for the bottom lane duo of GGTY, props to them for actually forcing Vayne to take that boots early on.
So that boot is a big sacrifice for that Vayne, because unless a fight starts, just automatically loses trades to the Sivir with 2 long swords, and that will make all the difference if any jungler manages to make it that far for a gank.
Yeah, and we are seeing Janna rotating in the mid lane. This is quite peculiar if you think about it, but looking at the top lane, there's a lot of damage blocked, but the aftershock will be there. The flash is burned for this Syndra. The ignite is sticking down. The ult will be there as well, but the shield coming in from Sermon will actually get a kill on Wang over here. Shendy wasn't able to shield him down. It was still on cooldown, but that's I think a respect on the hunt for this Vayne, almost taking that 1v1. But the supports are back in the bottom lane. But look at this top lane, plate after plate. John is just gonna say easy after taking that 2 plates.
Yeah, so the Jack's just enjoying her solo time at top lane. I think the Sivir definitely getting a little bit behind in tempo from the Vayne, although the Vayne is about 2 waves behind. But what's more important is that Ardent Esports has so much tempo in the mid lane. The Karma has so much free roam. Look at this wave, it's pushed up. That should not happen. And props off to Ardent Esports for maintaining that tempo with Ja, and Ja of course helping to spread that lead to the other lanes.
Yeah, and speaking of lead, even if Ja is behind his CS, that two kills rather means a lot in actually spreading the engage. Actually, there's gonna be an engage in the mid lane. That's gonna be a nice stun from Sermon, and then Stand United will be used, but the Ramos, just a lot of damage coming in from Aiko over here. That's gonna be a kill for the side of GGTY as Ramos gets his first kill of the game.
Okay, so I'm not sure if that was communicated, but Vampi had her Stand United up, so I was really expecting it. This should result in maybe 2 or 3 turret plates. This is 3 champions sharing it, and that's a huge swing. So Ja had a small bounty on her head, and it's good that it was I believe it was the Syndra. Was it a Syndra? Or was it the Ram? No, it was the Ramos. The Ramos that obtained it.
But look at this top lane. Shen taunting Jax. The Conqueror is up. No dodge mechanics, and that's gonna be Conqueror healing him up with a massive outplay over there in the top lane. But look at this. Wang looks to be in trouble as 2 people will be there. That's gonna be a stun lock with 2 people over there, and the ultimate unstoppable power, or I'm not quite sure on the name of the ultimate of Syndra, but that's gonna be a kill for the mid laner, and that's gonna be unleashed power.
Yeah, so she definitely unleashed her power on the Sejuani. This Ramos is actually coming up big. I just wish the kills would have gone to Syndra. Imagine a 3-2-2 Syndra would have been pretty scary, but a 2-1-0 Ramos is also really reliable. Imagine having that huge front line. The Vayne can't even come close to touching your carries. And the Ramos, actually, I wasn't expecting the Ramos to be this effective with the ganks, but the Ramos managing to position herself on the right place in the map at the right time. And this is not just like micro positioning. This is all about macro positioning, sensing where the next action will be. And Aiko, with this game and the last game, has proven that she has really good senses for that.
Yeah, and speaking of game sense, I mean, Aiko as a jungler for GGTY, we've already seen what kind of judgment she's capable of, and judgment for junglers is a rare thing to see. Yeah. Right judgment most of the time wins games, and for GGTY, it's showing that Aiko has a lot of game knowledge to play around with, and it actually is proving her to be a great asset for this squad. Meanwhile, for Ardent Esports, Wang, one of the highest tier, I think she's around Grandmaster right now.
Yeah.
Jungler for this whole tournament, and you can't reach Grandmaster if you don't have the mechanics and the judgment to just get in that high rank. So with Wang right now, yes, she's 0-2-2, but we can't discount all of the games they played before this one. Yeah. Wang has been stellar from game to game, and this game, I don't think that of course off to a bad start, but it doesn't dictate on what kind of player she is. I still want to view all of the games she played in this tournament, and most of them have been proven to be a magnificent performance. Meanwhile, for Cha, I do think it's gonna be overconfidence that's gonna kill this Vayne. I mean, we already talked about it. Cleanse and Heal could have been a better choice of summoner spells for this bottom lane duo. Some might argue that it might be defensive overkill, but you need it.
Yeah.
You have to stall the game. You're not gonna opt to get kills instead. Sure, it's gonna be faster, but taking Cleanse and Heal is way safer. And by way safer, we mean more space for this Vayne to scale up, more time for this Vayne to farm up the items, and more time for this Vayne and more late game safety as well. So again, kind of disappointed in the choice of Summoner's spell for this bottom lane duo, but that doesn't mean I'm disappointed in how they play with it. It's natural that Kyle would land a Dark Binding or two. And the moment that it landed, it gave them a kill. So that's one of the perks that GGTY can actually get, because there's no cleanse available for this Vayne.
Yeah, and as we saw right there, the Ardent Esports' bot lane is always under threat of being of Kyle landing a binding, and at that point I think whoever gets caught would be dead. The cleanse definitely a good decision, would have been a good decision for Cha, considering that she's literally, and I'm not kidding, she's literally holding at least 80% of her team's damage later in the game. So I think the cleanse would have come in great, but for sure the itemizations will reflect the lack of cleanse, possibly a QSS, which wouldn't be so bad as well.
Yeah, I mean, a QSS would cost around 1,400 gold, and we're not seeing one core item yet, but the On the Hunt is popped in the bottom lane. That's going to be a Rammus taunting this Sejuani. Sejuani fairly tanky, but the stun does land. Good Monsoon coming in from this Janna and actually disengages the whole fight. And that was a great response coming in from Shendy. And another trade-off here in the bottom lane. Dark Binding doesn't land. Flashes away to safety. Soul Shackles land, but he flashes away. That's going to be a stun on this Janna. And this is going to be a dead Janna for the side of Ardent Esports. This is going to be one hell of a fight for Cha. The Stand United is there, but gets cancelled by the Jax. And that's going to be huge in the bottom lane. A lot of back pings over there. You have to go back in the bottom lane right now. The Sejuani is there. Rammus as well. A lot of action happening in the map, but they will not continue this fight.
Yeah, that was a lot of action from very different places on the map. As the trade goes on, I don't think much will happen here.
But that's gonna be a free kill coming in the top lane. A lot of damage coming in from Conqueror and the stun as well. That's pretty surprising. Conqueror does magic in the top lane.
Yeah, as I was saying, that previous fight, there was a lot of action in all sorts of places on the map, and the positionings of the players go all the way back. Like we could go 30 seconds back, and it would still be necessary to review the positions of the players. In this game, I'm seeing layers upon layers of macro and micro mind games that both teams are playing. While they're figuring out where the enemy position is, these laners are also taking constant trades with each other, so their minds are being used to the utmost. It's not like solo queue where you can just like turn off your brain and just go through the motions. You absolutely can't in this kind of competition.
Yeah, and this has been a really tight competition if you ask me. GGTY is not giving Ardent Esports a break. Meanwhile, for Ardent Esports, they've been trying their best. That's going to be a Soul Shackles with a Black Shield blocking that Condemn. The stopwatch is there to make sure the Soul Shackles land, but that's going to be a shutdown kill for the Vayne. Kiting away this Rammus, but the damage coming in from Foffi is just too real. But Aiko gets a double kill in the bot lane. That's going to be 4-1 Rammus already with a Cinderhawk. This is going to be scary for Ardent Esports.
Yeah, at the moment, Ardent Esports just have to chill down the game. They should not be looking for leads. Instead, they should be looking to prevent the bleeding, because right now, look, the Jax can just ignore the Shen. Like, who are you? Get out of my face.
Who are you? He just goes gets plating, and that's I think next level BM.
Yeah.
But then again, it's not BM. It's part of the competition, dude.
And not just the Jax is ahead, the Syndra is ahead. The Syndra is ahead, and this Sivir is definitely ahead. Half an item above. This Morgana 2-1-2 taking all the kills of the Sivir. Look, the Sivir is actually the real support. The Morgana is actually the carry of this game. Look at that! Look at that! Completed support item with a Fiendish Codex. I think you can expect a lot from this Morgana. She's been landing her bindings. She's been initiating. I really have to commend Kyle for playing this Morgana spectacularly.
Yeah, and Kyle using, I think she will be opting for Zhonya's Hourglass at this point. She will be the primary engage tool, to be honest, because Rammus will be taking down one target, but Soul Shackles has the capacity to stun 5 people. And that's gonna be their main tool to engage. But Wang on the bottom lane, there's gonna be a Black Shield blocking a lot of damage, but that's gonna be Shendy taking the first kill off this gank. And Vayne trying to dive this Sivir, but actually backs away. There's gonna be a Rammus in the bot lane as well. Shen is teleporting on the top side, and that's gonna be a successful gank for Ardent Esports.
Yeah, so talking about not really looking for leads but preventing the bleeding, I think that was the correct decision of Wang to walk down lane, come for a lane gank, and stop the bleeding where it hurts the most. And I think that is where the Vayne is. You want the Vayne to be ahead, or at least even in this dominating comp that GGTY has drafted.
Yeah, and looking at the scoreboard right now, we are 15 minutes inside the game. 21 to 27k is the gold score, but that's gonna be a flash coming in from Aiko as Cha condemns him back, and that's gonna be Cha kiting away from Kyle in a successful defense. Superior kiting ability, by the way, from Cha over there, just making sure that he survives, and that's gonna be a burnt flash for Rammus.
Yeah, unfortunately, this Rammus has no solo capabilities on her own. But the Rammus definitely a really good supporter. Maybe if the Morgana was up by at least 2 seconds ahead of the play, as Wang gets caught.
Wang with the tankiness survives. Actually,
yeah, it would have been
out
nice.
of vision. Yeah, but that would have been nice. The smite could have secured the kill on Wang, but then again, Fog of War saves his life. But look at this mid lane.
Karma.
Ja, you have to get away. The cavalry is here as a snare will be landing. That's gonna be an easy kill as Fofi gets a free kill in the mid lane.
Okay, so I think Kyle is scripting. She has landed all of the important bindings. All of the important bindings, like absolutely all of them.
So do you think she's missing the non-important ones on purpose?
Yeah. It's like she doesn't want to make it too obvious. Just kidding. Kyle is just an absolutely amazing player. She's doing so well, landing all of these bindings and creating all of these opportunities. I have to commend Ardent Esports for not bleeding out too much. So they are dying, but the thing is, they're not losing too many turrets, right? Like, we're expecting this Jax to shove in Shen at the top lane all the time, but it has not gone down, at least until now. But GGTY has had to expend 4 players, so at least Ardent Esports still holding some of their ground.
Yeah,
as an
and
engage
look at
in.
this, the engage coming in from Jonas, not actually finding a kill, but the Rip Herald is online for Fofi. She might call it down in the top lane, but as of now, they're holding on to this Rip Herald. They just took it a few minutes ago, so this might be on the inventory of GGTY for quite some time. They actually burned down an ultimate for that one, and nothing I think not a lot of fighting happened on that top.
Yeah, so Ardent is doing this properly.
Unless that's gonna be a monsoon called in for Janna. The Nautilus, actually no, the Rammus will try to tank a little bit of damage over there from the turret. A lot of ults are down as of now, and both teams try to just call it off because the Vayne is just solo farming in the bottom lane.
Yeah, at this point we just have to start counting how many bindings Kyle is just gonna land in the change the team fight. So didn't throw a binding right there, but she landed 2 in the previous fight, and it forced Ardent Esports to respond very heavily to that. I think this is the right way Ardent Esports should be playing it. They should be playing it 4v5, playing it safer, I think, than they are right now. But Vayne in the meanwhile was able to solo farm, is now only 10 CS down from the Sivir. and managed to obtain a solo turret as well.
Yeah, and that's a lot of attack speed on the Vayne already. That's a Blade of the Ruined King with the Berserker Greaves and Recurved Bow. So that means this Vayne will be dealing a lot of DPS damage, especially with the Silver Bolts. And all the armor piled up on this Rammus won't mean anything to true damage. So what Ardent Esports has to do right now is to make sure that their Vayne won't get picked off. But looking at the summoner spells of GGTY, Jax has Flash. Sermon has Flash as well, and the On the Hunt will always be there to engage, and that's gonna be dangerous for Cha, but that's gonna be a flash for Jones, and that's gonna be a 1v1 in the top lane. A little bit of damage dodge using that W, but the burn damage to the Flash, that's gonna save his life. Shen with a great escape over there, but that surrenders the dragon to the side of GGTY.
Yeah, that was a really good flash in some gameplay from Bambi, but also from Jonas, spotting that this Shen can do absolutely nothing to me. At most, she can tickle me, but that's about it. In the meanwhile, GGTY took an Earthdrake. Was it Earthdrake or Airdrake?
I think it was an Earthdrake.
Yeah.
So this actually bolsters their capability to just push down mid lane. They do call the Rift Herald, and that's gonna be Sivir clearing up the wave, and 3 people grouping up in the mid lane. This is gonna be an easy turret because of the Rift Herald.
So she lands 1 binding. We can just keep counting all of that. All right, she'll just keep throwing it.
And now they do take this turret. The Rift Herald was successfully defended against if you're Ardent Esports, but still, that's gonna be a free inner mid lane turret. Meanwhile, in the bottom lane, we do see some rotations coming in from GGTY.
Yeah, so here's the thing. GGTY had a really good spread. They had all 3 lanes occupied, and they were pushing. And GGTY solo laners right now cannot be answered by any one person on Ardent Esports. Oh, wow, that hurt. Okay, so that was just like 1 ball hitting, and it hurt so much. But this Jax, right? This Jax off screen just whacking that tower. We don't see it, but GGTY is amassing an insane lead. It's like a 9,000 gold lead right now.
His Spirit Sword, whack. His inner turret, whack. My stance, I'm tight. This is gonna go in the mid lane. That's gonna be a stun landing on Cha, and that's gonna be a dead Vayne, but a flash is there. Gonna go for the outplay, but a stopwatch is there. One more Q. That's gonna be too early, boy. But Ardent gets a kill on Kyle right now, and that's gonna be Rammus going for the escape. But now a little bit of static attack over there on the Hunt will be there. Jax dashing into that. That's gonna be a lot of shielding coming in from Shen, but that's gonna be a shutdown kill for the Vayne. A lot of misplays and outplays. Not quite sure in what happened in that bottom lane, but boy, was that chaotic.
Yeah, GGTY just getting a little ahead of themselves. I think Ardent Esports is doing a really good job at responding and chilling it down, not overreaching. Look how many low players rather. There's 3 low players in GGTY, but they decide, okay, let's not chase because that's exactly how we lose the game. So that's a props off to them. They are still in the process of catching up, especially between the Shen and the Jax. The Jax is just so much ahead of the Shen, but I think Ardent Esports is on the right track to getting a fighting chance back into this championship.
Yeah, we are seeing, we did see Vayne actually get 2 shutdown kills, and that was massive for Ardent, but back in the team fight.
So they really want Cha down because Cha is the only damage dealer, but they overextend. Kyle stasis in front of the turret. They tank the turret, which is good, but then the Karma empowered Q manages to take the kill instead. Almost kills the Janna. Oh, it should have just hit the Vayne and would have killed her. Stand United goes down on the Janna, keeps her safe. Jonas trades her life for the Janna. I don't think it's worth. It was already heads up play. Like there was a lot of initiative coming from GGTY, but I think the initiative was misplaced, and Ardent Esports, of course, capitalizing off of it.
Yeah, and we are seeing that Vayne is almost completing her Ginsu's Rage Blade. That's gonna be a huge, massive. I think that's gonna be a huge power spike item.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah, and speaking of which, that's a Ginsu's Rage Blade right now. Next team fight, that will be online. But looking at the damage that this Sivir can do, Fofi with the Arc, Essence Reaper rather, with the IE, that's gonna be massive in terms of base damage on that Boomerang Blade.
Wow.
Glacial Prison lands on this, flashes into that Sivir. Where are your teammates? You can't lock in Sivir and expect to kill him by yourself. And I think that was massive miscommunication coming in from Ardent. And the Rammus is there and the taunt will be there as well. That's going to be a lot of damage coming in from the Boomerang Blade, but they don't get a kill on that Sejuani as Sejuani dashes to safety.
Yeah, so you see how far, although the gold list is around 9,000, still around 9,000, Ardent Esports has crept up their at least their map state a little bit, enough for them to be able to make plays. And that was a really good heads-up play. Like it's definitely bound to cause some chaos on GGTY. Unfortunately, that's all they can hope for right now. They can't hope to contest Baron if GGTY wants to start it.
Yeah, in chat, it's gonna be trouble over here, but the Dark Binding doesn't actually land. They don't know that a ward is sitting right there, but the dragon will be spawning 15 seconds from now or less. That's gonna be a dragon spawning right now. That's gonna be a Cloud Drake for GGTY, and I don't think that Ardent Esports would want to contest and die over a Cloud Drake.
Yeah, they really don't want to, and that's the right decision. I think the bindings that Kyle misses, she misses it on purpose because, you know, they're not important, so it's okay if she misses it. But when they're really important, you know, she goes like full big brain and starts predicting where people will start pathing.
Yeah, big brain indeed with those massive dark bindings, and it does hit on the important targets. It just goes to show that Kyle has the killer instinct, has the clutch on that dark binding, and that's what you want for a Morgana to have. Meanwhile, for this Janna, Shendy, even on a losing lane, we have to give credit that Shendy has been providing constant protection, constant quality protection for her whole team. But then again, the damage coming in from Sermon and Johnez is just too much to deal with, that sometimes she does sacrifice her life in the process.
Yeah, this the bot lane duo of Ardent Esports is really fearsome. It doesn't matter if they are behind, which they really aren't. They're not that far behind, but it's scary considering this Ardent Sensor and the 2-item Bane coming right at you, and you have no CC left.
Yeah, and we are seeing another 1v1 in the bottom lane. There's not going to be... actually, Johnez has the flash, so he has the option to just go for that 1v1 again, but actually doesn't take it. So Shen is forced to defend all alone against this Jax as GGTY is trying to take this Baron for themselves.
Yeah, so what GGTY want to do is they want Ardent Esports. If Ardent Esports can spot this, which... Alright, so they can't. But what they could have done was just bait it out so that the Jax can feed it on the bot lane turret. But since they got Baron, the Jax will be much more fearsome hitting down those turrets.
Yeah, and speaking of split pushing, this is gonna be a real fearsome Jax to face. And if you're Vanby right now, it's gonna be scary to face off a Jax who has the ability to solo kill you, but together with empowered Baron minions, the only thing that you can do is try to taunt him under turret and have the turret fight for you. But other than that, I don't think that this Shen can actually do anything on this Jax 1v1. So what I think Vanby has to do right now is to clear the wave as fast as he can, join his team for a team fight that's 4v5, because as of now, I'm quite positive that GGTY will win 5v5s. Alright,
so the Shen is like 1.5 levels behind the Jax, and once the Jax 16,
that's almost a kill, but there you go, chat, going ham. The Glacial Prison actually doesn't land over there, but the final R is burnt for this Vayne. That's gonna be massive for GGTY.
Yeah, so I think Kyle, I think her monitor turned off for a while there. I'm not sure what happened. But she has been playing really well, and those spell shields are definitely spot on. Let's see how much GGTY can get from this Baron play, because as we've seen in this tournament, whoever gets Baron wins the game. Not immediately, but manages to obtain a massive lead. And with this Jax at the far front with a massive spell shield, I don't think Ardent Esports has anyone brave enough to run into a Jax.
Yeah, I don't think Of course, looking at this whole composition, it's only Wang who can survive Jax for quite a few seconds, and we're talking about seconds over here, because this Jax, the moment he gets those stacks on his ultimate and stacks on the Conqueror as well, Wang, after the Aftershock and the Frost Armor, it's gonna be just easy peasy for Jonas over here to just melt down anyone in a team fight. So what Ardent Esports want is to either to get Fofi or Jonas to just die in the team fight before it even happens, and that's gonna be extremely hard to do. Or maybe just protect the Vayne, because Vayne as of now deals a significant amount of damage with the QSS, but then again, looking at the damage potential from GGTY, things can go south very, very quickly for Ardent Esports.
Yeah, there's not much to go in the way for Ardent Esports in terms of outplays. I think the only avenues is one is Shendi's Tornadoes. Okay, that was a respect flash. Like, I can understand why Ja did that. Considering the Jax is like a full level above her. But I think the only avenues of outplay that Ardent Esports have is the Janna Tornadoes and Monsoon, and as well as the Vayne's gameplay.
Yeah, but that's gonna be a Glacial Prison landing on this Syndra, and that's gonna be a free kill in the mid lane as Shen gets a kill on this Syndra, and the fight will continue in the bot lane as they try to get that turret in response of that kill. The Dark Binding actually misses, my boy, and that's gonna be a flash taunt coming in from this Shen. Are they gonna go huge? The Monsoon will heal up a lot of members over here, and that's gonna be a shutdown kill for the Vayne, and that's one. And Guns are gonna be a two, but that's gonna be a lot of damage coming in from this Sivir, but that's gonna be a team fight won by Ardent Esports. Meanwhile for Jax, just whacking on that inhibitor, and this is gonna be a top lane inhibitor.
Yeah, unfortunately Fofi, that's the most that she can do. She's not that far ahead to be able to pull out a 3v5 victory, but she did do so much damage. You could see everybody on Ardent Esports' side, their HPs were melting, but a good heads-up play for Cha, managing to get a lot of kills, and Wang managing to catch off that Syndra off guard. And once the Syndra is gone, it really is only the Sivir and the Jax, and if the Jax is splitting, the Sivir is your only target. And Ardent Esports pulled that off. They managed to kill the Sivir in the end, but at first they were zoning her, and that's how they managed to win.
Yeah, and speaking of zoning, and of course the instinct to just go on targets that you know that are alone, we have to commend Wang for actually engaging against Sermon over there. But for Sermon, she actually threw out her ultimate and was able to deal damage significantly before dying. So again, in the list of priority targets that you would want to be dead in a team fight, it's Jax and Fofi, because they deal the most constant damage. For Sermon over here, even if you are quick enough to lock him down and kill him, the moment he presses one Q or even just one R, that's gonna automatically deal the amount of damage she would normally deal alive in a team fight.
Yeah.
So even if Syndra should be considered as a priority target, I'd choose Jax and Sivir dead over that Syndra anytime in a team fight.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. It is a dilemma for Ardent Esports. GGTY has drafted 3 threats on their team, and it really is a dilemma choosing which one among them. I agree with you. It should be the Jax and the Sivir. The Syndra can take a sideline for now, but the Syndra is still definitely a threat, especially with the Scatter of the Week. But unfortunately for Ardent Esports, that dilemma is only on top of this 9 or 10k gold lead, and with GGTY having 4 Drakes, so 2 airs and 2 earths, you can just imagine how fast that Baron runs down.
And how fast the Ramos.
Yeah, especially with the Ramos DPS, man, that's a lot. So I think right now GGTY poised to take Baron, and I don't think Ardent Esports is in position to contest this.
Yeah, and they are just farming around their own base right now. This is going to be a fairly quick Baron for the side of GGTY, and no contester whatsoever as of now. But On the Hunt is popped out. The Glacial Prison doesn't land in anyone. That's a lot of disgusting damage coming in from the Sivir, and that's going to be Kyle hitting the snare, and the Vayne will be taunted, but the Condemn is there to offer some safety and to create some space. But moving to the bottom lane, we're seeing Jax and Shen bounding it out, and just Jax clearing out the minion wave. They have to fight this. The Shen taunt doesn't land, and that's gonna be Ardent Esports -1 without their support.
Yeah, and that support is really huge. I don't think they can pick a fight without their support. And with all 3 inhibitors down, I think GGTY is in a very good position to just end this game. All they have to do is catch the waves, which they are doing right now, and push.
Yeah, and of course they are pushing, trying to end this game. The Nexus turrets are falling down to the hands of GGTY. Scout of the Week lands on the Vayne, but no kills or whatsoever as of now. Weng will be in the front line, gets the Dark Binding on his face, but just too tanky to deal with. The Nexus turrets are surprisingly holding their ground, but that's gonna be 1 turret down. The second with the double stun coming in from Jack. Stand United will be there for Vayne, but the damage coming in from Cinder is just too real, and that's gonna be Vanby trying to salvage ending with that team fight. The Janet is alive, but not so long. That's gonna be a boomerang play to end his life, and this is gonna be GGTY representing the Philippines for FSL 2019. The new champs are born. This is GGTY.
Yeah, that was a really good game from GGTY. They did almost everything correct. If you were to pick an MVP for this game, who would it be?
Man, I should just give it to I have to give it to the Ramus.
Yeah, well, definitely the Ramos being in the right position, the right time. The Ramos, it's a good pick. They made it work. Okay, let's put it that way. They made the Ramos pick work, and I think in a team fight, in a team like this where everybody has roughly equal skill level, it's all about how you mesh your team together.
Yeah, and of course, it's not that Ardent Esports got dominated in this series. Ardent Esports put up a great fight, and let's not count them out.
Yeah.
Ardent Esports in this tournament got a great second place through a lot of games, and they put up a great show for us. Ardent Esports today played 6 games, and we respect you for that. And we are really appreciating and celebrating the skill that you have shown us. But right now, it's going to be GGTY all day. And we have to give credits to GGTY and everyone who helped them to become the team that they are. Again, we talked about coaches and staff being there for them, and GGTY, if you do have the staff, make sure you thank them for all their hard work and helping you. And for GGTY squad, the whole team, I think all the hours spent practicing, all the arguments that they had, and of course that's inevitable in every team. It all comes down to this. You are finally going out of the country, representing the whole of Philippines as the all-female team, the best all-female team in the Philippines, trying to bout it out against other teams from Southeast Asia. And if there's one thing I ask from GGTY right now, it's to do their best, not still practice a lot, and give glory to the Philippines, and of course try to win for Southeast Asia.
Yeah, on the international stage, of course, there will be much more daunting battles, and GGTY has definitely shown that they can put up a fight against those daunting opponents in Ardent Esports. Ardent Esports, I think they also deserve a celebration, because considering what the gauntlet that they went through, they placed really high up. And they just lost only ever so slightly to GGTY, which is an absolute beast of a team.
Yeah, and again, GGTY, congratulations for winning the Philippine National Qualifiers of FSL 2019. We are your casters for this tournament. My name is Uomi, together with me is Veer. We had a great time casting for you guys, and we hope to see you next time.